What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. So you guys may or may not remember my Scion, which has been rented out on the Getaround platform. Now, we bought this car about 6 months ago and it has been listed on the Getaround platform ever since. Now, for those of you who don't know what the difference is between Getaround and Turo, they are pretty similar in theory, but in execution, they're actually way different. Getaround is targeted more towards people like Uber driver and gig economy workers, while Turo is targeted more towards tourists or just people that need a car. But the big difference is the way in which Getaround operates, and they require all of their vehicles to have Getaround trackers. In fact, you can see the tracker sort of right here. It is hardwired into the car. And so what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to be taking you guys along with me as I drive 45 minutes to Mesquite, Texas to get this device uninstalled, because HP and I are leaving the Getaround platform. Now, the original plan was to have HP and I both go to take this Getaround device to get it uninstalled, but there was unfortunately a change of plans because of the fact that one of our cars had a belt issue and HP had to really unexpectedly go drive the complete opposite direction of Mesquite to Fort Worth, Texas to replace a belt on one of our cars. So he will be joining me a bit later on in the video, but let's now head to Car Toys because we need this device to come off.
Well, on my way right now, and I have to fix our Mazda 2, which the renter said that it started acting funny, so she pulled over. Unfortunately, she pulled over on the side of the highway, and this is where I'm at now. So there it is, and I don't have a lot of room to work with, and the car is not movable because she said it was starting to sputter and die out, and I don't have a lot of wiggle room here, so hopefully I can do this quickly because this is also kind of a bit of a dangerous area to be in, so wish me luck.
And we have arrived. So I got the car dropped off at Car Toys behind me. I'm now going to head to the McDonald's, which is right over here, so I can get some work done while the car is being worked on. And you know that you can't have McDonald's without either a Diet Coke or a French fry. Alright, so the deed is done, and this officially marks the end of our relationship with Getaround. That was a relatively painless process. It took about, I don't know, about an hour, and so the time was well spent between myself eating McDonald's, doing some work, and getting this big to-do crossed off the to-do list. Now, whenever it comes to why we've ultimately decided to leave the Getaround platform, there are a few key reasons. But before we discuss that, let's head home and let's reconnect with HP, because I know he has a lot going on his end right now.
Howdy, 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 howdy.
How's your adventure throughout? What's an adventure without the fun part?
Successfully unsuccessful. Mission failed successfully. So this was a serpentine belt that had ended up unserpentining on the car, and it is not in good shape. But I replaced that, didn't work. So now it's at Autobahn. Hopefully they'll have a fix for it or a diagnosis very soon.
At least we got one important task done for the day.
But now it's time to sell it, so let's go take some pictures.
So whenever it comes to Getaround, we don't really have anything personally against the platform. I think that it's fine, and I think it does its job really well. But there were a few things that we really didn't like that ultimately convinced us to take our car off altogether. So the first complaint is the website, really more specifically the host control with the website. With Getaround, you don't have flexibility to set your own pricing. The website is really difficult to navigate. You also really don't have the option to add any customization to your car, your listing, your terms, nothing. People oftentimes complain about Turo being difficult. Well, Getaround really makes Turo seem pretty lenient and pretty flexible. I really didn't like this, and as a host that likes to have my feet into kind of every aspect of the business, this was really difficult to do with Getaround, and it ended up becoming a huge hurdle.
And to Aubrey's point, we didn't get to choose the pricing on this vehicle, and because of that, we felt like this vehicle did not get enough rentals because it was just priced way too high. Getaround had a price anywhere from $40 to $60 a day, where on Turo we would have priced this vehicle around $30 a day, and we feel like it would have gotten a lot more rentals at that price point.
And yeah, we would have rented it for half the price, but it would have left us a lot more room to be able to collect things like damage claims, overage miles, convenience fees, and the car would have been out getting money rather than sitting in our lot really literally 75% of the time.
My biggest complaint about Getaround is the tracker they installed in these vehicles. This car didn't get rented out a lot, and that tracker was draining the battery the entire time. And because of that, I had to go out there and I had to, you know, every couple of weeks or every week I had to go out there and start the vehicle to make sure the battery didn't die completely. And we actually had to replace the battery because of that. And on top of that tracker, with it doing all of the battery draining, it also immobilized my key one time and we weren't able to start the vehicle because of the orientation of how we unlocked the vehicle, whether it was through the app or through the key fob, or we did them separately. So not a good go for me on Getaround.
Now, I think ultimately with Getaround, I think that if you have the demand to support constant rentals, it could be a really cool platform. Like, I love the passivity aspect of it. Whenever this car was rented out, we really didn't have to do anything for it. We didn't have to be there, we didn't have to communicate with the guests. It truly was hands off. But the fact that the car never got rented out, and whenever it did get rented out, it was after weeks of it sitting, oftentimes it was just like this thing that was constantly in the back of our head. It was just annoying to have to deal with, annoying to have to think about, and as a result, we just think it's best to get rid of it. So all in all, what would you say your thoughts are on both Getaround and this Scion?
I mean, Getaround, I think it's a cool concept, but I mean, the whole point is to rent out your car, and if you're not actively...
You do have to keep in mind though, Dallas is a new market, and I think that is important to note, is this is a new market for Getaround. They just started renting here over the summer, and so it's only 6 months old. Like, if we were to have rented our car in a more mature market, like California for example, we probably would have had a better experience.
Yeah, but I mean, they need to do some type of price fluctuation, because if it's a new market, maybe lower the prices, get competitive. Do
marketing.
Yeah, do more marketing, that's for sure. They give us a bunch of stickers, and I'm about to put 50 stickers in this car that say Getaround. No one's gonna care. As the Scion goes, I like the Scion. The Scion's actually a really cool car, just a bigger Yaris pretty much with a Scion badge. It did get damaged, unfortunately, and it's not gonna, you know, ever really be the same because of that damage, but overall, I like the car. Just time to go. We gotta get another Turo car on the platform. So enough about my thoughts. What about your thoughts on Getaround and the Scion?
My thoughts are the same as yours. So ultimately, I think that Getaround in theory is really good. I think that it's a good platform, but I simply think that they need more demand in the Dallas area. There are too many hosts, the cars are too expensive, and the lack of control means that you are pretty much at the mercy of Getaround, and that's simply something I'm not interested to do. As far as the Scion goes, I personally think that this is our worst car we've ever bought. Now, there are a few reasons for that. Number one is I like the Scion itself. I think that the car is cool, well, as cool as it can get. And I think that it's a nice drive, it's a nice car, but I think that business-wise, we really took some missteps in buying this car. Number one is the fact that Getaround allows you to have a car that is a 2007 and up to 200,000 miles. And that's exactly what we did. What year model is this? Is it a 7?
No, it's a 9.
Oh, it's a 9. So it's a 2009 with 180,000 miles, which is good for Getaround, but not good for Turo because it doesn't meet that 130,000 mile threshold. If we were smarter, we should have bought a car that met the Turo guidelines. That way, if Getaround didn't work out, we could delist it from Getaround and then put it onto Turo. Now our only choice is to delist it from Getaround and then simply sell it.
But who cares about our thoughts? It's time to sell this car. Let's go take some pictures. It's been like a month since we rented out this vehicle, and when I was looking through the glove box of the owner's manual, found $60 in cash. So yeah, about time this thing started.
I'll take this.
No, you will not. Good ROI.
So unfortunately, you guys will have to hold back your tears because this is probably the last time that you will see this Scion. Now, we hope to sell it in the coming weeks, or really whenever we can, and the goal is to try to sell it for the same price we bought it for, which was $4,500. But ultimately we will, or it was a little bit more than 45 because tax, title, and license. It was like 48, 49. We'll have to figure out the amount. But the goal is to sell it for the same amount in which we bought it for. That way all of the Getaround earnings can be pure profit.
And guys, as always, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and we'll see you in the next episode.